What's good? What's good? It's the one, the only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with some more news, man. I was just watching Kugler Kessler's video or whatnot on IFL TV. He just had an interview with Billy Joe Saunders. Well, he just uploaded an interview with Billy Joe Saunders that I found that was kind of intriguing. Where Billy Joe is, in fact, he stated he is returning back to boxing. Now, if you guys don't know, Billy Joe Saunders has been out of the ring. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go on the record and say it'll be 2 years, at least 2 years since his return. Since his loss to Canelo Alvarez, and it was very interesting. Even though the video was only 3 minutes long, it was very interesting to me because well, for one, Kugler brought up how a possible fight with Chris Eubank Jr. For y'all that don't know, Billy Joe Saunders beat Chris Eubank Jr. by split decision when they fought him it was years ago. It was like at 160. Billy Joe basically, they still are like a little rivalry. Billy Joe basically said, there's no interest in that fight. Chris Eubanks, of course, coming off of a loss. He said he would actually rather fight Liam Smith. Which was intriguing to me because Kugler Kessler, his name is kind of confusing. But anyways, he asked him well, what weight would you fight at? What weight are you gonna come? Are you gonna come back at 168? And he was like, of course, and that definitely rose an eyebrow to me. And I'm gonna tell you why in a little bit. But so I don't know how him and Liam Smith will fight. I don't see Liam Smith going up to 168. But he brought up the idea of him and Demetrius Andrade. He actually stated that they're actually still in talks. They're in talks, not still in talks, because they were supposed to fight twice. Nothing came out of the fight. The first time, Billy Joe tested positive for a banned substance, and they were supposed to fight again, but I can't remember what happened. Billy Joe stated that their teams were in talks, and that could be a big fight, coming back, when he comes back to boxing or whatnot. Now, the thing about it is, Billy Joe has gained a significant amount of weight, right? Now, and the fact being off for 2 years after a loss, man, I've seen fighters do that, where they take these long layoffs. They take these long layoffs, they'll lose and take 2 years off, and they just don't ever come back the same, And I'm not wishing anything bad on Billy Joe Saunders, but I'm just speaking the facts. Don't call it hating when it's a fact that I can name guys. Now obviously you have guys like Sugar Ray Leonard I think he had a 2 year layoff, or he did have a 2 year layoff against Bruce Finch, I think. And he had but between, let me see, hold on. I think he fought it was in between his fight. He fought Bruce Finch and then came back and fought Kevin Howard 2 years later. But then I do remember after Kevin Howard, dude took a 3 year layoff and fought Marvin Hagler. Now, obviously, that was before my time, before I was even born. But I do a lot of research and a lot of film study. I like to watch old boxing. I like to watch boxing in general. So I remember them. I remember that being I think he had a 3 year layoff between Kevin Howard and Marvin Hagler. He had 3 years off and came back and fought Marvin Hagler. So these greats done it. But then he had a 6 year layoff. And I think he lost to Terry Norris and then came back and lost to Hector Camacho, But George Foreman had 10 years layoff. He had a 10 year layoff after he lost to Jimmy Young, and then years later, after he came back from his 10 year layoff, he beat Michael Moore. But even then, though, he was looking lethargic then. But he beat Michael Moore after he came off a loss. I think he came off a loss when he beat Michael Moore. But then let me see, who's another one? Thinking of all-time greats. So obviously, we talking about greats. All-time greats. Muhammad Ali. I think dude had a 3 year layoff when he was going through that issue or whatever, and he came back and beat Ken Norton and Joe Frazier, he lost to Joe Frazier, but avenged that loss. He lost to Ken Norton too, but he avenged that loss. And like Floyd Patterson and obviously George Foreman. But I do know that towards the end of his career, dude had like a 2-year layoff. After he lost to he had lost to Leon Spinks, and then he beat Leon Spinks, and then he had took some time off, and then lost to Larry Holmes or whatnot. Floyd Mayweather, he had a 2-year layoff after beating Ricky Hatton, and coming back to against Juan Manuel Marquez. That was, and Floyd looked very sharp in that fight, in that rematch. So it is possible, but I don't think we would compare Billy Joe Saunders to any of those guys that I just named. Those guys that I just named are all-time greats. I don't think that we can compare Billy Joe Saunders to them. But more recently, man, like it's just, I just feel like, man, guys, you shouldn't take it's dangerous to take years off from boxing and then come back. Like every time I've seen it, it's never it never comes back. The fighters never come back the same. The fighters never come back the same. You can look at like a guy like Adrian Broner, right? Now Adrian Broner has lost to Maidana, but came back. I think he came back and fought Carlos Molina. He was looking sharp as hell, like still looking sharp. He lost to he lost to Sean Porter. I think he came. I know he. I think he fought Khabib Alakalaka. I think he came back and fought dude. Cause he came back. Matter of fact, it had to be him because I remember he had fought for a title at 140 after he had lost to Sean Porter. So and he was looking. He still looked sharp. He didn't impress. It wasn't impressive, but he still was looking sharp. Let me see, who else did he lose to? Mikey Garcia. But when he lost to Pacquiao, right, and ballooned up in weight, and he had 2 years off, and then he came back and fought that Santiago guy, and looked just terrible. Like he looked terrible. He just looked terrible. He didn't look anything like himself. Gaining all that weight in between times and stuff like that. Keith Thurman lost to Manny Pacquiao. He had like 2 years off, and he just fought this time last year against Mario Barrios. Now to me, Keith Thurman didn't look all that good, bro. Like I'm being honest, bro. Like Keith Thurman, although he beat up Mario Barrios pretty bad, like, but he didn't really look all that good in his return to me. Peter Quillen. I remember Peter Quillen lost to, and the reason why I remember Peter Quillen so much because Caleb Plant used to spar Peter Quillen for y'all, and I got history with Caleb Plant. That's my guy. I know him or whatnot. So he used to spar Peter Quillen, and I remember when Peter Quillen lost to Danny Jacobs, it was like December 2015. Peter Quillen didn't come back till like 2017, and I remember he had Caleb Plant was his sparring partner, but I remember seeing how big Peter Quillen had like a gut, man. Like he had gotten big since his loss to Danny Jacobs. He had ballooned weight, came back, never looked the same. Even though I never thought highly of Peter Quillen, he just came back, didn't look the same. And we haven't heard from dude in years now. And or let me see, who's another guy or somebody that I'm real close with, Jermaine Taylor. I'm real close. I go to his house. The man knows me. Like we know each other. That's my family. Jermaine Taylor is my family. Like literally, that's my family. His kids know me. I got he came to my fights and all this. Like that's my family. Jermaine Taylor. He lost to Arthur Abraham. You know what I'm saying? Or he had that fight with Carl Froch where he was winning the whole fight and then lost the last 14 seconds. Then got stopped by Arthur Abraham and took 2 years off, and he just never, even when he came back, he just wasn't the same. So I said that to say, man, it's dangerous, man. I'm very curious to see how Billy Joe Saunders is going to handle himself, because he is ballooned all the way up. Billy Joe Saunders is big now. And to see him, come all the way back down to 168 from where he has to be like in like 215, something around there, but come all the way back down to 168, and then try to perform at a high level. Obviously, he's gonna have a tune-up fight, but I would advise him to have a tune-up fight, and to be perfectly honest with you, I would advise his tune-up fight to be at 175 and then come down from there, because I just think that that's gonna take a lot of toll on him coming from like he's like I said, he's got to be like 215, 220, coming all the way down to 168. So, you know, I'm very curious to see how he's gonna do that, and then to be in a stacked division like super middleweight where you got the David Benavidez, David Morrell, Demetrius Andrade, Caleb Plant. You know, you got all these now. You know, Edgar Berlanga, which I don't necessarily know. I don't. Well, it just depends on how Billy Joe Saunders comes back. I don't know how he's gonna look. So I just think that it's very, very dangerous for him. I think it's very dangerous to take that amount of time off. You know, that's like I said, I've seen that plenty of times. These guys take these years off and then they come back and never look the same. So I mean, you know, but hey, if he wants to come back, you know, like I said, he's not, and it's not even just off of a comeback, but it's off of a comeback like a loss where he got his orbital bone broken. He got his face broken by Canelo. So, you know, if he feels like he can come back, I mean, I'll go for it. But I don't see him beating any of the top guys. He's gonna have to really show me something that I haven't really seen in like recent history, you know. But you know, who knows, man? Billy Joe Saunders is a very skillful guy. So let me know what you guys think. Do you want to see Billy Joe Saunders return? Who do you want to see him return against? I mean, and even that's a whole other thing. And so, like, who do you think? Who do you see Billy Joe Saunders beating at this point of his career? You know, taking so much time, ballooning up in weight. You know, I mean, can you really see Billy Joe beating? Like, I mean, he's gonna have to really show me something, man. That's gonna be interesting to see. Would you like to even see him against a Demetrius Andrade at this point? You know, or just you know. Maybe like a Charlo or something. Let me know what you guys think, man. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Man, this is gonna be interesting, but what do I know?